Okay, now seeing that it's 6 o'clock, I'll call the Wage and Personnel meeting to order. Lorraine is not with us this evening. Derek has joined us online. And what I'll do is just jump around a little bit on the agenda since we are hopefully Keith, let's give him the opportunity to come in. If not, Tina will handle it. But we will jump around a little bit. So the meeting's being recorded by Zoom. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Items may be taken out of order at the discretion of the chair. So that's what I'm going to do. Do you want to talk about anything on your side, or do you want me to go to minutes?
I can do the update if you want to start.
Okay, why don't we do the update? That'd be great, Tina. Thank you.
So just some recruitment updates. So we are posting, we haven't done it yet because we're still reviewing the job description, but we are posting for the youth quote children's librarian. We received a resignation last week, I think it was, or the week before, and that current employee's last day, I believe, is this Friday. So we'll be recruiting for that. We have not reposted, we've opened up the recruitment for the public health nurse. We've had to recruit for this position a couple of times over the last few years. We currently have one in place, but they are looking to retire for real. So we have to look for another one. Recruitment's always hard with this. One, because it's a nurse, and in general, those are just difficult to recruit. But also, we have to find the balance of someone that can work independently, because there is really no one that can mentor them, at least on the RN side of the house. And then balancing, salary expectations once that comes to par. But so far, I think we've gotten one resume. And I think it's been out for two or 3 weeks. But we have it at some schools for alum. We have our normal sources. And if anyone knows anyone, we're looking for a public health nurse. It's, I think, either 16 or 19 hours a week in office, as well as, doing outreach and different things like that. Obviously working with the health agent.
Do they need to be an RN, or is it BN as well?
They need to be an RN. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I know someone, so.
Okay, great. Is there I assume this problem's in a lot of towns, not just ours.
I can't really tell because, some towns, we're actually part of this, grant, this multiple town grant. So some towns have that for them where they have one, I think it's more of a full-time position that kind of goes to multiple towns, but because we have our own, my understanding is we don't use that grant RN as much, if at all. I don't think we're allowed to if we have our own. And then, the other towns, really the last 2 times I've looked at this, people are kind of, to your point, having the same situation. It's, hard to recruit for. Unless they go full time, it's not, you have to find a very particular type of applicant. Yeah.
And honestly, I think in my tenure here, this is the 3rd or 4th that we've looked at.
Yeah.
But the question I have is, not that I'm advocating it, but temporary agencies don't have a program for public nursing.
I used to recruit RNs for real, and the temporary agencies parts are really more like traveling type of nurses, right. Not necessarily like, oh, come work at a practice for so many, for the rest of your tenure. They're just so expensive.
Yeah, I know the expense side is a problem. What about combining with another town?
So that's what that grant does.
Right.
I can talk to the health agent more about if it's just time to go that route. I don't know if we're even allowed to be honest with you.
I don't know what would stop us.
Well, if the grant is formulated in such a way that whatever town's a part of it, they know Kingston isn't going to be using the RN from that because we have our own source, then maybe those hours are allotted to others. I know when Kingston kind of owned the grant, we kind of got into a little not trouble, but we tried to maneuver how to do it because we had our own RN who was then going to be hired by the grant, But because we're the employer at the time anyway, for both our RN as well as the grant RN, that person would be full-time, which would encumber more costs. The grant couldn't cover the costs, so the town would, and so it was a whole, and that's one of the reasons why we don't have the grant anymore. So I do think that if we have signing on to that grant, I think we have said we have our own RN, we won't need the RN for the grant services. We use other things from it, but not that particular thing. So the grant then probably says to the other towns, like, okay, this is how you can use this position.
Is there, but we don't know if there's any capacity in the grant
I
to
don't know.
take us on.
I don't know.
Possible. And then, is Plimpton in the grant? Do we know what's around us?
I don't remember. I know Plymouth owns it right now,
Yeah.
owns the, or at least they did. I'm assuming they still do. I don't remember. It's been over a year. I was more involved with that grant side, so I don't really remember the other towns. I want to say Wareham was one.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just that with, what I'm wondering is there opportunity because budgets are tight
Yep,
and they're tight everywhere,
yep.
that maybe there's some opportunity to revisit it
Mhm.
and say, because the problem I see is this is the fourth time that
Yeah.
you've done this.
Yeah.
This is the fourth time that we've done this.
Yep.
This is, in other words, we keep rinse, wash, repeat.
Right.
And the issue boils down to is it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Regardless, I mean, it's your time, you know, you could be doing other things.
Sure.
And I'm just saying is it's almost like a situation where the veterans agent, you know, wasn't until we went out and
Mhm.
and that worked for a while.
Mhm.
So, but I agree. I don't think a temporary would work. I just didn't know if they had a program for public nursing.
I'm not aware of mine,
that-
but
that
I will
they
talk
could-
more to the health agent to see,
Yeah.
you know, how would the grant work if we just, you know, and the other piece of it too is I don't know if our Board of Health wants to go on that route, and that would be their call to make, so.
Well, again, unless they've got a pile of money stuffed under a mattress somewhere, I don't know how they have a lot of choice.
Right.
So, all right, well, it'd be interesting to see what happens with that.
So we did have a teen and emerging technology librarian recruitment going on, but we have made an offer. And I believe that person is starting, I think they're starting in October. It would have to be October, but I don't remember the date. So yeah, so once we can get their youth children's librarian together, then hopefully on the professional side, they'll be staffed up again. They are also looking for a less than part-time librarian technician, which is an hourly position in KTU. So that's been posted out there as well.
Mhm. Okay, anything from the minutes regarding the veterans agent?
So that's right. So that's my next piece.
Oh, I thought you would. I was just going.
That was just the recruitment stuff.
Yeah.
So, right, so the vet agent, so I'm not sure if anyone, Derek, I know you were on it, the Board of Selectmen call or a meeting from last week. So with Duxbury, Kingston is looking to do a regional veteran services. Both towns are wanting to do it. The hashing out of what it's going to look like is still kind of happening. Nothing's been signed yet. Staffing wise, what that will look like is a less than part-time admin assistant for the vet's office, the vet's department. Right now, that's in wage and personnel. We've talked before about once that position got staffed again, we would move it into KTU because that's really where it should be. So I'm putting stuff together to work with them on that. And provided that goes into place, which I'm not sure why it wouldn't, then probably for fiscal 27, we can take it out of the bylaw. As for the agent, so, you know, based on the shared cost as well as the additional, not just the amount of work, but more of the responsibility, we will probably be looking to either reclassify the position or figure out, I mean, I guess the question is, one of the questions, you know, that Keith and I have kind of been playing around with is if I do think the position should be reclassified, just given the scope of work. Again, not the amount of it, but now it's, you know, more responsibility for two separate towns. But in any event, you know, one way we could look at it is the salary is the salary, and this is what the town can afford. And now the salary for the individual would go up, but the cost is being absorbed by another town. At least half of it would be, or, again, like I said, I think it should be reclassed in whatever position or whatever grade it needs to go to, and then wherever that incumbent falls on the steps, and then how that relates into the grant.
So
Go
it
ahead,
was
Joe.
kind of, yeah, it was kind of up in the air, I guess, at the Board of Selectmen meeting. So that is the approach that we're thinking of taking now, is the reclassification or I mean, I agree with you. I do think that given the nature of the responsibility, it definitely warrants that. But I just wasn't sure if those decisions have been made yet or not.
So I know the cost for both the admin as well as the agent will be split between the two towns, 50-50. How to get there, again, because part of what we're going on with is wage and personnel has a timing piece of it, right? So if that agreement gets signed between the two towns, say take effect for November, that position hasn't been reclassified and won't until fiscal 27. So what do we need to do in the meantime if the two parties have agreed to a salary and things like that? Or I don't know the timing exact. I think part of it was going to be the timing of when is the agreement going into effect, and then how does that relate to what that position's grade and salary can be, and or how does that get eaten up by the two towns? I don't know if that makes sense, but a lot of it.
Yeah, that does. Thanks for kind of clarifying that. I mean, it sounds like a great opportunity to kind of deliver the same services, but also try to save some money in the process. So
Yeah,
excited for it.
Yeah, and I think to Carl's piece, when he spoke about it, and also to yours, you bring it up all the time as well. Like, if there are these shared services that we can do with other towns, then we should be doing it. So hopefully this will be, in addition to and or the start of something like
Yeah, let's make this the start of something great.
that.
Who pays more, Duxbury or us?
It's supposed to be 50-50.
Yeah, currently, in the current position in the bylaws,
So
who pays more?
they don't have one.
Okay,
So-
they did.
Right, and we stole her. Having said that, when she was, when we were trying to hire her, we tried to do this agreement then. But that's neither here nor there. So I'm not sure
How
what
about
they
the admin?
I don't believe they have an admin over there.
Do they have a position in their bylaw?
They might have a contract, like just a straightforward admin,
Okay.
not contract, a union.
So, and then my next question is, why wouldn't we do it as a contract?
Why wouldn't we do what?
Just hire a veterans agent as a contract,
Like an
Because-
employment contract?
employment contract,
Mhm.
because we have two towns involved.
I mean, we could look into that, I know when we've had legal come and talk to us about what positions should be can legally or
Well,
reg
it's
wise.
not our veterans agent anymore.
Well, it's a shared one, right?
That's the
Right.
reason why I'm asking.
No, and you raise an interesting point because, in that same Board of Selectmen meeting, Chief Holmes came to talk about a grant he received for a clinician. And it would be shared with other towns as well. And there was some talk in there about, does it end up in wage and personnel? And then overnight, I was thinking about it, and I kind of thought more like maybe that needs to be an employment contract because it's tied to a grant, right? And so we have COA formula grant those positions, unless they are funded by both mechanisms, they don't live anywhere, right? And so if it is an employment position, I'm not sure why, or either way, if that could be.
It's just the point I'm trying to make is that with the shared cost should be the shared responsibilities. So meaning that, if we make it a veterans agent in our town
Mhm.
and it falls under our wage and personnel bylaws, if something happens in Duxbury, what happens because the employees are employee,
Mhm.
what happens?
Right.
Now all of a sudden we've got quasi advising boards involved.
Yeah,
I see nothing honestly but problems
sure.
that I think could be much cleaner in a contract, because you could just spell it out. If they agree on sharing the costs, we can agree on duties, hours,
Yeah.
position, people to answer to,
Yep.
and so forth. And we can also agree on a system of uh, issues of employment that can be handled in the towns
Mhm.
by, whether it's the two town administrators handle it or whatever.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is that there's a way to handle both the marriage, the
Mhm.
living, and the divorce. And all I'm saying is, to me, that would be much smoother,
Yeah,
or at least I could at least plan it better than, you know, if I was, let's just say for argument's sake,
Yeah.
if I was that employee and I knew that there were two town bylaws, I find the bylaw that's most favorable to
Sure.
me to solve my situation.
right,
That may not be fair for the town.
right,
Whereas if I can spell it out in a contract
yeah,
and just say, this is what we agree to, and this is what you agree to, and here is the process for, if you need retribution, there you go. So, but just a thought.
yeah,
All
and
right.
so I think, so similar, I did some research on, what Chief Holmes is looking to do in terms of bringing on the clinician. Um, and it sounds as if, at least the feedback I got and some of the, digging that I did, was most towns have their clinician under a employment contract, not living in anything. So I can do the same type of research to see if this is something that makes sense. And then ultimately, if the towns want to agree to that.
Yeah, it just,
Yeah.
I think also it would take it out of one of the,
Bow and all of
and one of
that.
the problems, one of the things in your world,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden they got a problem with Duxbury and they're sitting in your office.
yeah, yeah.
Or they're in the Duxbury office having a
Right,
problem with
right,
Kingston.
right.
So, just a thought.
Can I ask a question about the clinician? I don't know if that was something you were gonna
I mean,
brief
really, I
us.
was just gonna talk about it a little bit, but nothing crazy. Yeah.
No, I was just, so I had, because it's always been kind of bugging me on the finance committee that those opioid funds have been sitting there and we haven't been doing anything with them. So I wasn't sure, and this is probably a question more for Chief Holmes, if we're just sure that we can't, because it's really obnoxious, I'm sorry, specific, not obnoxious, the uses for those funds. So I just want to make sure that, and to a contract, I think you can probably actually spell out what's listed for the specific uses of those funds. Are we just sure that the clinician's role is going to qualify for the appropriate use of those funds? Because I guess my worry is I don't want to bring someone on and then realize, oh, the opioid settlement funds aren't going to be relevant or aren't going to be appropriate for this role.
Yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I did have a conversation with the chief about, because I wasn't connecting, because there's the opioid funds. And then there's
Right,
also,
and then there's that other
Yeah.
bucket. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
part of it, right? So, again, I'm not as clear as to what those funds can be used for.
Mhm.
So sorry.
And no, it's all right. I'll just drop him an email because I know this is actually something that I've spoken to him about before because, it's, I mean, I think it actually would be great. And it would be great if it's completely paid for without touching any other regular town revenue. So,
Right.
I'm all for it, just making sure that we don't suddenly go, oh no, we bought a trailer and we can't pay for the trailer out of the opioid funds.
Right.
That's like
Right.
that's like what keeps, well, there's a lot of things that keeps me up at night and you already met one of them, but that's another one.
And really, in the big scheme of things, that's the only thing that should be keeping you up.
Sorry, Jim. I
No,
apologies
no,
for
I'm
hijacking.
totally with you.
Okay. So some of the other things I have are, when we met last time, I talked about, changing the elected clerk to an appointed clerk. So I think the Board of Selectmen are looking at that at their next meeting. But, I have people working on the job description of the JAQ. So hopefully those would go into place, for the December deadline and be ready for FY 27. And then also with FY 27, these are some things that I'm either working on or thinking of working on. I do think we need to add something in the bylaw relative to performance reviews. The KTU employees have it. It's tied to steps in terms of if you've reached top step, you don't technically have to have a review anymore. But some of the feedback I've gotten is, do the wage and personnel employees have it? I know since Keith has been here, he's done reviews for the department heads that report to him. I know like the library trustees do one for the library director. The same method in terms of, you know, the library director, the department heads, you fill out an evaluation, their appointing authority fills out an evaluation. If it's a board similar to the town administrator, then it's consolidated. They each individually fill out one and then it's consolidated, and that's ultimately what becomes the review. So I've kind of been feeling like that needs to be in there at least for department heads, but possibly all the regular positions, maybe not the stipend type of positions, but all the regular positions. You know, the thing the thing about reviews is you know, in some organizations, good performance equals a salary increase. Here, it's, you know, good enough performance and you get your stuff, right? So I still do think that there's an important part for an employee to learn how they're doing and for their supervisor to go through that exercise of really think about how their employee is doing. And so I might present something to have that part be part of the FY27 changes.
So currently there is no review process for employees.
Not in the bylaw. Like I said, the department heads, because of this TA, has done it. The next one, I don't know.
Well, the TAs review the department heads,
Mhm.
but the department heads don't necessarily review the employees.
So a majority of the employees, majority of the department heads have KTU employees. There's a handful that have other highways all yep, but library, there's another, COA, well, the admins for the most part are in KTU.
Okay.
Yep, so COA,
Else is in this bylaw.
yeah, I know, right? So COA has a handful of wage and personnel positions.
Drivers, assistant drivers, something like that.
No, those are KTU. Yeah, so a department head for the most part is doing reviews on their staff.
Okay.
It's just the wage and personnel regular positions that aren't necessarily being regularly reviewed, other than the town administrator, other than the town department heads with this particular town administrator. So just trying to get some consistency there. And like I said, there's other boards that appoint their department heads, like water, wastewater, library, assessors. Like I said, I know library does. I'm assuming the others do too. I haven't been involved in any of them, so I'm not sure if they actually do, but so again, working on that. That's a possibility. The other thing, a few other things, but so the clerk's office and the board of selectmen's office and myself and, you know, have been working with legal on defining what positions need to be sworn in, what positions have appointment terms. So once that gets hashed out, at least for the wage and personnel positions, we would need to add that to the bylaw as well as their job description. Those positions that fall in a union, those have to be negotiated. But so once we hash that out, then that might be another change coming for the, and then the other thing that's been brought up by the Board of Selectmen is the possibility of doing more in-depth background checks for department head candidates. So if we do that, then that would need to also be part of the bylaw, but you know, it would also need to be part of the job description, the recruitment, because right now we're doing queries based on whatever level we're supposed to be doing them. For example, the COA, anyone that works with the COA has a higher level query than an everyday appointment or volunteer or what have you. But I think what they're looking to do is a more in-depth one. So I know when this used to be part of what I've done in the past in other companies, you know, you could do a blanket to say all positions, we're going to do a full background check and define what that full background check is. You can do, you know, if your position touches money of any type of thing, there's going to be that part of it. If your position is just a straightforward, you know, exempt position, this is, you know, we're going to do all these other things, you know, criminal record, driving record. At the end of the day, it has to be tied to what your actual job is, or you have to do everybody. So more to come on that. And if there is something that, you know, gets hashed out and put into stone, then what bylaw would need to change.
Couldn't you do it so that the query notification to an applicant could be done at the time of application?
We have to do it that way. And so the way the job descriptions are right now, it says query must successfully complete a query. And then it's also in their conditional offer of employment. This, what I'm understanding, what they're looking for is deeper than just a straightforward query.
And what I'm saying is, can it be, it sounds to me that the queries are done by category of employee.
So no, we do queries on all employees.
No.
Oh, go ahead.
Depth of query.
Right, so
Depth of query is dependent on type of position.
right, so Massachusetts has certain regulations on how deep of a query you can go, and so and we don't get involved with stories because we don't handle the schools, but so for example, those that are in the COA because they deal with a vulnerable population, there's like a query 3 that we do on them. Most employees and volunteers, unless they're over there or at the rec, we do a query 1.
So would it be safe to say that we could have a group of query 1 people and a group of query 3 people?
That's what we have now.
Okay,
Again, I think what
let's
they
spell
want.
it out is what I'm saying.
I don't know if we have to spell it out as long as we have it in there that we have to do a query.
Right.
Which we
But-
do.
Which we do.
Right. I think the level of what they're looking for might be more of police involvement background checks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Film at 11.
Great.
Okay.
Another thing I think I want to work on, if I can get to it, is we talked a few years ago now about a sick donation process we have in the bylaw right now that an employee of wage and personnel can ask for an advancement on their sick donation. What I'd like to actually see is in the bylaw, here is the process of what a sick donation what it looks like. Because we've had I mean, luckily we haven't had a lot in my, 8.5, 9 years here, but we've had enough that we should make sure that it's documented. So when I win the lottery, someone else can step in and do it.
Yep.
What do I have here? Oh, these are just some jobs that might come out of here to go into KTU. We've talked about that before. And that's what I have for my everyday stuff.
Anything further on weights and measures?
I have nothing further.
Yeah, okay, okay. Got anything, Derek? No?
No,
Okay.
it already came up when earlier, so.
Yep,
Thank you,
okay.
Tina.
Yep. Thank you, Tina. How about, Derek, did you look at the minutes from August the 18th?
I did. I'm happy to vote on those if you are.
I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes from August 18th of the Wage and Personnel Board.
As written. I'll second
As
it.
written,
And-
sorry, as written.
That's all right. I always like to just make it all the same. I'll just call the roll. Derek?
Yes.
Jim, yes. Okay, so those are done. Thank you, Derek.
Mhm.
What time is it? 6:28. Any news from whether he's coming or not?
He said he might be able to be available by 6:50, but I can just go without him.
Okay, all right, I'm just gonna wipe out some other stuff here.
Sure.
Review draft memorandum regarding deadline for bylaw amendment request for FY 27. I'm assuming you're talking about which, this?
No, I gave you a draft.
This?
Nope.
No, help me out.
The one that says December 22nd.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Usual.
I just wanna look at it.
All right. See, I had everything in order and you
Yeah.
skipped around.
I know, I know.
My fault, sorry. We'll take
This one's easy.
it.
This one's easy. Okay.
This is the same one.
Yep.
I just changed, I just changed a few things.
So Derek, what this is, does he have it?
Yes, I sent him.
Yeah,
a
it was, yep.
All right, so you know what this is about? As far
Right,
as
it's
the
making-
notice before town meeting. So it
Did
just
we-
makes sure, go ahead.
Did we get anything for town meeting in the fall?
Yes, the IT, yep.
This
Oh,
one,
yeah, just the, right, that we, okay, yeah.
yeah, this one's pretty thin.
Have we talked about the IT thing? I don't think Jim, you and I
That's coming.
discussed
That's
that at
coming.
Oh,
all.
that's just the timeline.
This
for
is the
fall.
timeline of the
I was-
closing the warrants and all that stuff.
I don't even have that.
I found it on the website, but we would need to do a handout, so I was
For
concerned.
fall, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was getting my stuff
Yeah.
ready.
All right, well, how about we just deal with this one and then we'll deal with the other one. So Derek, you don't have any issues with the,
No.
okay, I don't either. You don't need a vote on this. You just need to.
You should approve it.
Okay, Derek, I'll take a motion to approve the memorandum from the
Yeah,
board committee, commission chairpersons and department heads.
Okay,
So
okay,
Just say so moved.
so moved.
I'll second it. Derek?
Yes.
Jim, yes. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so I will distribute that in the mailboxes.
Yep.
Probably next week, and
Yep.
then I'll send it electronically to the department head,
Okay,
as usual.
Yeah,
so Tina has a couple of possible bylaw requests
Yep.
in her summary.
we'll see if I get to them all.
No, but
Yeah.
just in your summary,
Yeah.
you mentioned a few.
Right,
And I'm just going to discussion action items, discuss bylaw amendment
you
requests.
wanted that on there.
I know I did.
Oh.
Okay, just because I didn't want to lose track of all the ones that we had talked about.
Yeah, right.
So, I get, my point is, and Derek, I don't know if you have notes on it, but, other than what Tina just mentioned, is there anything else that we need to make sure is on this list that we're keeping?
All right, so you want me to put a list in the minutes?
I'd like to see something
Or
that,
do you want me to just keep it separate?
I would just keep a separate list,
All right, I can do that.
okay? Because then that way it becomes our action items for an agenda at
Alright.
some point, and we can just
And
tick
then
them
you
off.
know, in December, if you don't get them, you're like, too late, too late, too late.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do a separate list of amendment requests.
Okay,
Didn't you talk,
Yeah.
the minutes, April 23rd? Just because I delivered it to the town clerk's office. Weren't you thinking about deleting a council on aging position? It's in those minutes.
I don't, in this one,
April, I gave you
this is
the,
August. These are the August minutes.
right. It's in this file. April 23rd, because I gave it to the town clerk's office
Yep.
today. When you met with Holly, remember?
Program coordinator COA was vacant, would not be filled, expressed reservation about hiring, blah, blah, blah.
You talked about deleting a position possibly.
Yeah, this was the whole discussion about where we were increasing the management side of COA, and we were gonna be getting rid of. This person was going to assume another position that we had written down, and it didn't make sense as part of their duties, and it didn't make sense to keep the position in the bylaw.
Sure.
So that was what that was referring to.
Do you want it on the list or no? Because remember, Tina likes to keep the old positions because sometimes.
No, I understand that, but, right, but the problem is when Tina goes and wins the lottery, okay, then this position's gonna be sitting there,
Empty.
and somebody's gonna say, well, I can hire. And they-
Wow.
And then it,
It's not, oh,
but, and then it goes to the selectmen, but I'm just saying though, it can be but at the same time, all I'm saying is that the COA, in order to justify, I believe, if I remember correctly, the assistant director's position,
Mhm.
program coordinator was gonna be taken off. They would accept those responsibilities as part of their job.
I know it is part of their job.
Mhm.
I don't remember about taking the position off, other than my typical, once it's gone, we don't get it back. So,
I understand,
yeah.
I understand. All I'm saying is that I remember our meeting on hiring the assistant director, that it was a discussion point. I mean, it can sit on the list,
That's the only.
leave it on the list,
That's the only thing. that I
right, leave it on the
can
list.
do.
We don't have to take action. It can just sit on the list, as a reminder, that's
Okay.
all. So Derek, just to bring you back up to that speed level, the when the assistant director came on board, we were, if I remember correctly, a 3-member board.
Yes, Darlene.
Darlene had just started very recently, if I'm not mistaken, maybe within a month of it, or, you know.
Well, this most recent hire of it, which is what, so,
Oh, Darlene wasn't here for that one.
right, she
But
wasn't here for
you-
that one. Right.
Right.
Are you? Yeah,
So so the most recent hire and recruitment of an assistant director did change, if I remember, did change the job description a bit to include program coordinator things. Prior to that, now that I'm talking about it, I don't know if prior to that, if it had already included it, because we haven't had a program coordinator.
No, I remember when, the first position,
Mhm.
that's when Holly got.
that's when
that.
Holly was hired. The
As
first,
the assistant.
as the
director.
assistant director, and I remember us as a board making this, because there was a big discussion about overweight management of the COA. In other words, the director, now we're adding assistant director and so forth. That was the concern of the board. And the director at the time said that part of this whole deal is that they would not hire a program coordinator, that the program coordinator's position would be moved into and be part of the assistant director's duties. That was my understanding of it. Okay. I accepted that in order to accept the assistant director's position. That was one of the conditions I had to vote yes. Okay, in my mind. All right.
Mhm.
Now, all I'm saying is I still want that to continue. And when Holly became the director, it was brought up and I said, listen, this is what we talked about. This is kind of what and mentally I agreed to, and I'm hoping you see it the same way. And she did. And that's the reason, Derek, that this discussion was brought up and
Okay.
why I brought it up. And all I'm saying is, we don't, like I said, we don't have to do anything on it. I just want it out there that it could be a possible change in a bylaw coming up for the spring town meeting. Okay, and I understand Tina's concern. Once we take a position out, it's gone. But at the same time, you know, the words of the position being moved into the assistant director weren't my words, they were their words, and I want it to be part of that position. I don't want to necessarily hire, if we don't need it, someone else, because, you know, maybe we can use that money somewhere else in another position. Okay, so that's the background on it. All right.
All right, I'll see if I can think of any others.
Okay, but I mean, you're gonna keep a list is what.
Yes, and I'll go back and check other.
And then at the last meeting, Derek had brought up some things he was seeing in the bylaw that might need to be looked.
Yeah, it was.
I put those in the.
Yeah, I can put those in an email and just shoot those out if that's the best way to
Oh,
go
that
about
would-
that, or.
Yeah, that would be great if you could do that.
Yeah, well, again, his talent is he reads rules and regs every day.
Yeah, I know.
Let's use it.
I put
Whatever,
together-
some people relax with baking, I read the Federal Register, what can I say?
When you said that, it registered ding, 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 ding. I went, oh, really? An expert? Love it.
Oh, no, no, I'm far from it.
All right, where is this? Why am I missing? I moved my agenda. Did I give it to you?
No, but I can,
No, I had it all checked off. Under
where did it go?
Good.
I really didn't take it.
good question.
Check the
Did you
memo
order
back.
something?
No, I had it here and I had it all checked off. That's my copy that I brought. Oh, I can use it. Okay, no big deal.
It has to be there. Wait, I just already checked.
No, that's
Oh,
the
okay.
minutes
All
that
right,
when
never
Tina was
mind.
updating. So that's,
No, I don't know what.
okay. Discuss bylaw draft update minutes. Okay. Well, Tina, I've taken as many out of order as
All
I
good,
can.
it's all
All
good.
right,
Let's
so
talk about-
batter up.
let's talk about the hire.
Which one are you talking about?
Let's do the hire first.
Okay, so this is for the.
This is for the building commissioner, zoning
Mhm.
enforcement officer. So we recruited for the position. We had a search committee, which included the town planner, the deputy fire chief, the health agent, and the building commissioner for the town of Duxbury. I was in on the interviews, as I typically am for department heads, and this candidate that you have in front of you is who came to the top. They later met with Keith and I for a second interview. We have mainly Keith, but we have spoken to some references, including the former town administrator for Halifax, as well as a board member, a current board member, I think, in Halifax, the Whitman town administrator at the time, and then got the direct feedback from the Duxbury building commissioner that was on the search, as well as with Paul Armstrong, who is here in the town, was the building commissioner for a number of years, still works for us in a limited capacity, limited. And so with the knowledge that this person has already having their certifications and ready to go, we set out to offer this person the grade 8, I'm sorry, the step 8 of grade 11, which is 110 and some change, 110.85. So we verbally offered that to him, sorry, to the candidate, and looking to put a conditional offer together and get this in front of the Board of Selectmen for Tuesday.
Derek, I'll toss that one to you. Any questions?
Yeah, just one, and I apologize. I feel like this is something I should probably know, but is it commonplace to have sort of a neighboring town individual on the hiring or kind of consulted for hiring, or is that, do we just
So
or
really
is he just nice in Duxbury?
Well, so it depends on the position, right? So we, you know, for a number of years, we had the same building commissioner, and they actually left us in a higher level, but when
They came from the adjacent town,
they came from one of the adjacent towns, yes.
very close town,
Very large.
large, close town.
But
And they
With
went
a-
back to that large, close town,
I was gonna
that-
say, does this town have a rock, perhaps, or?
several.
barely. So anyway, so when that former employee left, there was a reassessment to say, really, you know, they left at a higher level position, more encompassing. We really just at this time need a building commissioner. So we recruited for a building commissioner. And at that time, we the selection committee was pretty much everyone I spoke about, except for the neighboring building commissioner. And we did also have the conservation agent. That hire came, you know, we went with someone more junior, with the understanding that, you know, this person could come up to speed because we don't have a lot going on right now. That hire didn't work out. And so when we set out to do the new search, it was suggested by that committee that we get someone who has done the job, that could ask the questions, that, you know, would know what the right answers are, those kind of things. And because of connections, the Duxbury one is who was able to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've had that with different levels of positions. I know even when the fire chief was looking for an assistant to the fire chief, they had other towns' fire chiefs come in to do some. In general, when we do chiefs, we have other chiefs come in and do it. So, you know, again, those are the positions that are doing the job, so they'd be able to kind of assess the candidates more thoroughly.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. So I was just kind of curious about it.
I will tell you though, every time I sit in on an interview, department head or different level, I'm like, wow, I love learning what people do and being like, okay, good to know. But any event, I say that all the time here.
But beyond that question, I don't have anything else.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
How many candidates?
We had 4 candidates. We offered 4 or 5. We offered 2 to come in for an interview. 1 backed out. This was the candidate that came in.
So this is the only candidate we've had for a second interview.
This is the only candidate we've had for a second interview.
The other candidates, way off in terms of?
So the 2 or 3 that we didn't even consider were very way off. The other one had good skills, came from more of an architecture background. I believe had 1 certification, but wasn't completely
Wasn't
vetted
building
out.
commissioner.
Right. But again, you know, we wanted to interview them, but then they decided not to come in for the interview.
How much activity do we have in the town now?
So my understanding is with
So
the
water moratorium
lifted,
is
yes.
lifted, so now we can build.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, and the other
When
piece,
was that done?
I want to say a month or so ago. I kind of only learned of it in talking. So I don't think there was a big announcement or anything. I know, and again, just in speaking, you know, we have at least one company looking to come here that will be helpful if they get here. But I can tell you, and even just talking to that group, you know, planner, health, conservation, sewer, building, even building since the vacancy, there are still like additions and various things like that that are still happening. So there is still work that needs to get done in a timely manner and at a high ability. But you know, do we have another Amazon that's waiting and we can't get them to land because we don't have this? I don't think so. But again, my understanding is that's been lifted and things should be picking up.
Okay, because I mean, traditionally, Derek, you know, if I'm gonna bring somebody in at this high a level, and this person
Mhm.
based on this is plenty of experience. I'm not concerned, but I'm also looking at, you know, I'll do a look out there to see what the average salaries are in the area based on having this license and based on that license, and this candidate is definitely at the top of the scale. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, okay? But also very, very qualified. My concern is that we don't have the activity to justify this type of expense from the standpoint of qualification. In other words, I think that, you know, we could possibly have maybe a lesser qualified candidate that you know, because if you read the job description, there was this kind of grow into the position type of language
Yeah.
at the beginning of the job description, which quite frankly I liked. Because if there was ever a time in the town, this was the time. Now, that being said, I do see the additions going up and I do see several things in the town that go up without building permits. And, you know, and that concerns me a lot because, you know, we've had a deck collapse on Wapping Road. In the past, but we've also had these people that avoid paying fees because, and to be honest with you, that's why our taxes go up. It's one of the reasons. So, you know, I'm looking for enforcement at the same time, just of our existings. But,
Mhm.
the other questions that I have, in regards to this candidate, a lot of experience based on the years. So, if there was an issue, I would have loved to have heard, or maybe you asked the question, an issue of a conflict with a permit or whatever, how did they resolve it?
That was one of the questions.
And
There's
what
actually
was-
2 of the, I mean, I couldn't tell you the exact answer, but they knew all the pieces. So what we did is before meeting any candidates and going over questions of what we wanted to ask, you know, in most of our interviews, we do things like, how would you handle this? Have you ever had this kind of situation? You know, explain to us.
We've asked them before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so in this particular case, we had 2, we had 2 questions, and what we did is we had, prior to again meeting with anybody, we had the Duxbury commissioner tell us what would an answer sound like, right? Like,
Right.
and so we kind of all knew the pieces to be looking for and hearing for. Granted, that Duxbury person was with us anyway, but so the questions, you know, had to do with you know, wetland type of things, ADUs, you know, conflict with boards, that kind of thing. And this candidate had all the right things to say, talking about conservation, talking about permitting, talking about, you know, blueprints, all of that. The other piece, one of the things the building department with those other departments that I've mentioned is doing is looking to do online permitting. This person has done that, isn't afraid of it, you know. So the way the candidate answered the questions is what we had heard the
From the
professional,
customer. Okay.
right.
All right,
Right.
that, and again, the online permitting side
Mm.
is interesting. However, I'm gonna put my taxpayer hat on, not my wage and personnel hat. That's gonna cost some dough
What part?
to get that all instituted.
I think it's already there. I think it might have already
It's-
been. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to already be there because I know we just, speaking of additions, we just had a room converted into a 5th bedroom, so not looking forward to that tax bill. But yeah, I think that there was the option of doing it all online with our contractor.
Okay, and did he?
Um,
Do you know?
he
If you don't know, yeah.
he was supposed to, but then there were a bunch of issues and he never actually picked up the permit at town, so everybody had to keep going back to the building office there to sign stuff. And you know what, I don't want to talk about it because I'm not going to say nice things, so I'll just ended at that. But I like my room.
My understanding is, online permitting is going to be live by the end of this month.
Okay,
So the dollars behind it, I'm assuming are already taken care, yeah.
okay, so then it's really just a matter of this person paying for the experience, and is it warranted at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing, you know, a few things, right? So had we not had the vacancy ever, we'd be paying for a much higher position to do the same amount of work.
Well, we had a community development director.
Right, but I'm saying the same amount of work would have been what we could be expecting, because if that water moratorium was on when that position still existed, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is, you know, I agree that there are certain positions, and you said it too, there's definitely other positions or positions in the town that you are willing or understand we have to pay for the experience for, right? Because we don't want someone learning on the job when it's, you know, so substantial. You know, we tried that. That's not to say it couldn't work again if we found a different candidate or had a different model down, you know, or, you know, in that department. I think the fact that we could get a candidate with this much experience already credentialed and not have to pay step 10, which is what I was expecting to have to pay for this candidate. And as a sidebar, when I look at the overall equity, bringing this person in at 8 does a disservice to this person, but it helps our budget. That's how I kind of look at it, to be like, we are paying for the experience that's walking in the door already. We may not need it today to the extent. Although to your point, I do think the enforcement piece does need to have to be there, right? Because that's still going on, because we have people, as you said, that are putting these things up that aren't, you know, and I don't know how much.
Keith has arrived.
And I don't know how much has not been enforced.
You have a quorum?
What?
You have a quorum?
Derek,
Yeah.
Derek.
There's there.
Yeah, we have.
Hi, Keith.
Eric, good to see you. I don't know why. I was thinking there was supposed to be 3 here, but 3 out of 5.
No.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
know why I thought there was
yeah.
5.
So-
Good to see you, Keith.
I knew you, Derek. I saw you there. I wasn't slighting you. I apologize.
No, it's all right.
Right.
You doing your victory lap?
Nope, nope, not at all.
So we are talking about the building commissioner candidate. There was talk about water moratorium. There was talk about need at this level for this price. But I think everyone's in agreement. Check. I talked about the process and how we got these references.
You guys can call for a vote. I have no problem.
But as just to bring people up to speed, so I did. I talked about the process, who sat on the commission, or who sat on the search committee. I talked about the references we got. I how we had a commissioner on there, questions specific to how this person would actually do the job that we didn't necessarily have last time. So yeah. I don't know if you have any other questions, Jim.
I mean, I could just add real quick, you know, talking to the former town administrator in Halifax. Exceptionally strong candidate, does a great job, was very, you know, thought a great deal of him. Didn't get much from, the Whitman town administrator, honestly, she gave us legally what she had to.
She's also HR there.
So,
Why is this person leaving with? Any
he-
idea?
Wait,
yeah,
is that
so the reason,
2025, it said, so I assume he's still there.
he's not.
Oh, okay. I thought it
He's
was.
not. He left Whitman, for a couple of reasons, from what I understand, all political. Again, I did not speak to the town administrator Whitman. I called and left a message. She never got back to me. Tina spoke to her briefly and got the pertinent information, worked from this point to this point. From what I've been told, he was being asked to approve permits that were not where the job did not meet code. And the board decided to move from a full-time to a part-time building commissioner. They went to town meeting restored the full-time position because they thought he did a good job and they liked him. The board of selectmen then went ahead and made the position part-time, like anyways, even though it had the funding for full-time. And appointed the building inspector who has never been a building commissioner, does not know how to do the job, and so he has left the town of Whitman.
Has the interim administrator talked to this person? The new incoming intern? That you know about? No. So not involved in the decision at all?
No.
Just going to inherit the position?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any more questions. Nothing from you, Derek?
No, nothing.
All right, you want to make a motion?
I move the Wage and Personnel Board approve do we have a candidate name or just?
Can't use the candidate, it's got to be confidential. Applicant that we received.
The applicant,
According to the paperwork we've received.
according to the applicant, according to the paperwork we've received for the position of building inspector,
Building commissioner.
Yeah.
building commissioner,
Yep.
sorry.
Okay, I'll second it. Any more discussion?
You wanna put in a step?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
thank
fix
you.
it for
No,
you.
it's all right, that's all right.
Yeah.
Friendly amendment, Derek, that we'll be hiring the building commissioner at grade 11 at step 8. Okay, just accept that amendment.
Oh, I accept the amendment.
Okay, again, I'll second it, and then I'll call the roll. Derek,
Yes.
Jim, no. So that's a tied vote. So that means there's a no vote from us.
Fair enough.
All right. So next is the IT desktop software trainer for stipend position.
I went through all my stuff. 'cause-
She did, no, she did, we did, yeah. No, she did a great job.
She always does.
Yeah, no, she did a great job. I mean, we were, it was like the guy standing there going like
Is-
this. Oh.
Is it possible for me to ask Keith the question that I was gonna email Chief Holmes about with regard to the opioid funds, or
Sure.
just to?
Yeah, I can try to answer them and, I'd be happy to answer whatever question I can.
Sorry, is that out of order? If not, Jim,
No,
I'll
no,
just-
out of order. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just,
It's not. It's not.
But it's a continuation of my update.
yes,
We talked
so
about
yes,
Okay.
please do.
Okay.
Okay, it's a
Okay,
continuation of Tina's update.
I don't think I'm gonna put
Yeah,
it in the
Yeah,
minutes.
no, I agree. I just didn't want to have a problem with it.
Yeah, Keith, have we received like the okay that it's gonna be okay to fund this position with those funds? Cause I know, and you brought up the example in the meeting, in the Board of Selectmen meeting, that like the fire department got the no vote or got told no
Yeah.
for the part. So I just want to make sure, because I know it's very specific criteria
Yeah,
that
no,
the state has in
so-
place.
Yeah, when the fire chief and I were on the call asking about the fire department equipment, I then broached the subject of the expenses that we would be incurring using the opioid funds, meaning the clinician and potentially temporary housing for the clinician because there's no room in the police department. I received a verbal yes, that's fine, and also received a written yes, that's fine.
That is perfect. That's all I wanted to hear. Thanks, Keith.
Okay, let's take the next item, which is to discuss the new stipend position, IT desktop support, software training. Tina?
So we provided you with the job description. Last time I was here, you had some questions about the stipend position and overall need, IT in general for the town. So in general, basically what the key to this position is support for after hours. I know that there was some concern that you guys had brought up about if this is a, current employee, being called in to do IT stipend type of work in the middle of their everyday work. Although we do have examples of that now in other departments doing other stipend positions. But the heavy lift on this is after hours IT support, whether it be with Zoom meetings, getting logged out, and different aspects of that.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion last time about needs, so if you want to add anything, Keith.
Just, yeah, thank you. The issue that we're having is, that Tina mentioned is, it's the after hour stuff. Everybody kind of bands together during the day. But I know, there are a couple of admins who seem to have, more IT type troubleshooting capabilities than others. And they are, getting phone calls at home, or text messages at home. I can't get onto the Zoom, or there's something wrong with this, or there's something wrong with that, and having to spend a little bit of time, trying to troubleshoot that. They'll have to go online sometime, and there's been occasions, not a lot, but there have been occasions because both of the employees live in town. They'll jump in their car, drive back to the town office building and provide, whatever support, to get the meeting up and running. Obviously, with the Zoom meetings, they're much more the norm than they were even when we had a full-time IT person. But it's also something that I think we should be looking at in the future. When we look at the costs associated with the IT company and then potentially a stipend, is it reasonable to consider, funding an IT manager position again, rather than having the outside company? The upside is they're here 35 hours a week, 37 hours a week, whatever it is. The downside is they're one-dimensional, right? So, we've got a company now that, they have people with different skill sets that they work on different needs that the department has. But it's something we should be looking at and having conversations about. I still don't. I think in this market, it'd be tough to find. It'd be interesting to see what an IT person, what the salary range would be for an IT person at this point, because I don't know that it would be anywhere near the same as it was when we had a full-time IT person. But don't know that for sure. Haven't done the homework.
You mentioned after hours. After hours meaning after the admin goes home and there's people here working?
After 5 o'clock. Yep, after the building closes.
Okay, so after the building closes, I'm assuming it's department heads that are here.
Not always, we get admins who are here that provide support to boards, you have.
Sure,
stipend-
they, on a Tuesday night or, right.
Stipend positions
Mhm.
that,
And the consultants they don't have a hotline or something that,
they don't have immediate, you can call, and put a ticket in, is what they call it.
Yeah.
And depending on the concern or the issue, it might rise to a fairly quick callback, but it may not. And, so we've tried to have, the individuals who are responsible for meetings, come down, start the meeting up before 5 o'clock to make sure that, everything seems to be operating properly. So when the people who are being relied on to provide the support go home, they aren't bothered or disturbed. That's made a little bit of an improvement, I think, but, there's still times where there's an issue because there's a bunch of hands touching these computers. Turning them on, shutting them off 2 and 3 nights a week, and, there occasionally are problems.
Remember, I couldn't get the speaker on tonight.
no, I understand that.
And
I mean,
and
one solution is have the meetings when the people are here,
Yeah, but they're
You wanna
bored,
be, can you
right?
meet before 5?
if I have to.
Not everyone
We can- listen, I,
No, the point I'm trying to make is that there's a couple of issues that I had with this whole discussion. One was, to me, if this is the same computer consultant we've had from the very beginning, and we haven't changed and haven't looked, then maybe that's time.
sure.
That's number one. Number two, because if we've become a small fish in a big pond, then we want to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Sure.
That's the way I looked at it.
Mhm.
Putting a stipend position in when the town is, well, let's face it, we're gonna face some, I mean, I wish you the best in Fairhaven, but we're gonna face some things here coming up in the next 6 months that, and you, Derek being on the finance committee sees it now. So, how much was this position? Was this a $6,200 position?
No,
What was
for
it?
a stipend, you mean?
Yeah,
So we were still looking at that, but the most we were thinking like 332 or something like that, 3,200.
and then is it an advertised position?
It has to be, yeah.
So
They
you
all do.
advertise it, and there's a chance we could get somebody outside the town, outside of the office.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
Derek, what do you think?
I think my feelings are more in line with what they were or still in line that if this is kind of the route that we're going, I would almost prefer us look at bringing someone back in full time. I'm sympathetic to the needs, but I'm also thinking of kind of, all right, that's, $3,200 here, $3,200 there, and the next thing you know, we're at an override.
Mhm. Mhm. And I mean, I guess what I'm trying to get my head around is, I'm hearing a lot of anecdotal examples, but am I hearing anything that something was shut down? Did something not happen because we couldn't get a meeting going?
Something hasn't happened because something has, to the best
Because
of my
somebody's gone above and beyond?
way above. And it's just, and I'm fine with that. If the wage and personnel committee does not want to fund the position, I respect that. But I will tell my staff, we're not coming back to the town office building free of charge.
Nor should they. Nor should they. I'm not
Okay.
asking that they should. But what I'm saying is that we're paying this money to this contract for this consultant. And if this isn't the right consultant, let's go get another consultant. Or,
I don't even know if a consultant would be the one to troubleshoot a Zoom issue.
And if they were, I would respectfully suggest to you that the cost of having that in a contract is gonna be more than $3,000. But that's fine. Again, the biggest issue we're having with our consultant is we can't get him to answer a phone at 6 o'clock at night. We're doing all right for ourselves. And I think overall, we're doing all right for ourselves.
Mhm.
As far as that goes with the consultant, they've been, I think, pretty good. But doesn't mean we shouldn't be looking around.
Okay, I don't have any other questions, Derek. You?
Nope. You want me to make a motion?
You can.
I move that the Wage and Personnel committee approve the stipend position for the IT desktop support software trainer.
And this, it says requested for fall town meeting, so it's already on the a warrant?
No,
It won't be, no, I mean, I've got a placeholder for it.
Yeah.
The warrant's open,
Yeah,
and, if.
but the selectmen could decide to put it on the warrant.
Sure,
Yeah,
I don't,
Yeah.
sure, I don't think,
we're just advising.
I don't think that they will, because I think that they respect, you know, they're gonna rely on.
I've seen it go both ways.
Well, I agree.
No offense.
No, I understand that, and I would certainly, I would let the board know that we had this conversation and what the vote of the wage and personnel committee may be, or whatever it ends up being, and then we will go from there.
Okay, Derek, I'm gonna second the motion.
right.
And I'm just gonna add to the discussion that, I'll be honest with you, I'm leaning to no. I think quite frankly that, if this will go to the Board of Selectmen, I strongly suggest some specific examples of when there's problems and what the problems entail and what it costs. In other words, meaning somebody has to come back, and if we had to pay that person overtime, how much is it for that person to come back? Build the case.
I have a question, right?
Mhm.
So if this would have, if they say no, it doesn't go into the bylaw change, how does it end up on the warrant?
So this is advisory. Board of
This is, yeah,
Selectmen-
we're only advisory.
The Board of Selectmen can bring in this case, a stipend position forward.
And then it ends up in the bylaw. Okay.
Yeah, then we accept it because by the way, they approve all the bylaw changes too.
Yeah.
Before they go to town meeting. So again, just as advisory. So, so not seeing any other comment, I'll call the roll. Derek,
No.
Jim, no. So, okay, I just think it needs to be a little more flushed out. All right,
Sure.
that's just my opinion.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's that.
You can go.
I'm being dismissed.
You're right.
You're all set, buddy. But thank you. I appreciate you coming back. The last thing we have, well, a couple of last things, date for an agenda for the October 20th meeting. We are on, you okay, Derek, on October 20th?
I believe so. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so we're good with the date. You'll send something to Lorraine. Anything, thank you, Keith.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Yep,
Bye,
take
Keith.
care.
I was late. See you there.
All right, if I don't talk to you, best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, I'm sure I'll see you down there though.
Yeah,
No, I do know.
Good.
Yeah, I'm there quite a bit, actually.
What I do?
Yeah, I'll see you down there. See you, bud. Fairhaven is one of my customers, Derek.
Oh, is it really?
So I'm down
was
there
like, what do
actually
you-
quite a bit.
Why
Yeah.
does Jim just hang out in Fairhaven? Just like,
Yeah, just spent a lot of, they're actually doing this huge sewage treatment plant expansion. Like,
Mhm.
very similar to what so I was just advising on that, so I have a feeling I'll run into Keith.
Or they're sewer commissioners, one of the other.
Yeah, well, that's it. Is there anything coming up on the 20th or for October that
Not that I know of.
that you need on the agenda?
No, I mean, I would think even if we have a children's librarian, it's not gonna be about step 3, so.
Okay, anything pending retirement wise or anything that you know about?
Like people retiring, no, do you?
Thought I'd ask. I know she'd let us know, but I just figured. All right,
Do you?
I wait until the last possible minute for the agenda.
yeah, that's
It's
fine.
just easier than having to amend.
Right, and I try to get back to you as soon as I see it, so,
That's fine, and I know that Tuesday night is date night,
right,
so Tuesday night is not a good night.
right, Tuesday night's not a good night.
So then for fall town meeting, you guys don't have anything?
No,
Okay.
so how could the selectmen add something? It's not as if they could make an amendment to our article because there is no article.
No, there's a placeholder in fall town meeting right now for this position. Okay, it happens all
It would be a wage and personnel bylaw article.
bylaw article, and then it'll show up on the warrant, the vote of the wage and personnel people. No,
Okay.
selectmen could vote 3-2-4-1 yes. Okay, and that's highly possible. And then part of the discussion, and then it will go to vote at town meeting.
But you don't have to put anything together.
No.
Yeah.
No, it'll just come out of the selectmen's report when they do the report of the committees.
Who presents that article then? If they,
And would they be smart enough to put it in Schedule A and Schedule C2 and
No, they could bring it back to, what's a stipend?
you still have to put?
No, I understand that, but they could bring it back to us with the direction that we've created a stipend position, now find a home for it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
They wouldn't create it in the bylaw. They create the position.
Right,
Send it back to you and say, here, you need to,
Right.
you need to put this in.
right. And that could be on the October
Oh.
meeting.
Okay.
At the same time, it's at the fall town meeting, and it could be subject to approval at fall town meeting that our action would have.
So they wouldn't be adding it to the bylaw. They'd be creating the position. They'd send it back
Right.
to you and say, look, town meeting's.
Very similar to the combination of the clerk and the treasurer.
Right, exactly.
It's
Okay,
the same idea.
Mhm.
I
So,
get it.
all right,
All right, thank you.
all
Very
right.
nice.
Anything, Derek, anything for the good of the group?
Oh, there was. a piece-
Nope.
Oh, got mail, hold on.
There's a piece of mail, someone reviewed the website and, we need something added to our page, the purpose, and I thought Lorraine would be a good person to ask about that.
I saw that.
So we could, I think that can wait until the next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's hope.
I think she would be good
I-
at writing something.
I agree.
She did a good report, she did a good job on our annual report.
She always does.
Yeah. Okay,
Derek, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
I said, I don't have anything further.
Okay, I will take a motion to close the wage and personnel meeting at 7:16 on
So-
September 15th.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second it. Derek?
Yes.
Jim, yes. Okay. Thank you, Derek.